Hey everybody, it is the 17th day of the Talk to Camera Challenge, and I'm excited about today. It's going to be a bit different because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what I released today, and then I'm going to spend my day tomorrow on editing and polishing it, and it'll be the same, but it'll be different. And I hope it's interesting. So yesterday we talked about somehow grabbing your attention in the first 10 seconds, introducing a storyline, introducing tension, all this being done without you having the context, potentially not having the context of previous videos, and then building the tension, and then ultimately the payoff. I am actually leaning into the whole leveling up gaming analogy because I think I came up with a potential solution. As I started to think through this, the whole idea of starting with the end in mind, which is always good advice when you're trying to accomplish a project, right? Have a destination in mind. What is your goal? What's the point? What's the big picture? And, if I'm talking about storytelling, what is the emotion that I want to potentially induce? What is the knowledge that I want to impart? And so that's kind of where I started. And by leaning into this whole idea of adventure and character leveling and all of that, it brought me right back to my gaming days, right? I think I kind of had somewhat of an epiphany, and it kind of covers everything. But the idea was a map. Sounds simple. Now, I've got a card here. It's just a picture of a map that I drew this morning. And, a map has a destination. It has where you are, where you got to go. And the path is an adventure. Now, when I was a GM, I gave all of my players the map of my campaign world. And at first, it didn't mean a lot to them. I mean, it looked nice. But then as they started exploring this, this world, they started tying key events, and I did too, key events to different places. And the world comes alive, right? So with the campaign, characters aren't just going from this location to the end, along this kind of static path. It's more dynamic. They're jumping from here to this location for this adventure. Then they're traveling to this location. Then they might go back to this location. Then they might meet some more people up here. The whole idea of the campaign is that it's much bigger than just the one adventure, and your characters grow over time. So I actually drew this picture here, and it's talking about the kind of the story is a journey. And if you've got, the map on your left, is interesting. The map on the right is pretty boring, right? Because there are going to be all these potential twists and turns. Now, you can't do that necessarily in just one video. But if you can develop a map, then you can start to give people the context. So I got this idea that a map can be mental or physical, digital, but and it can answer the context question. And then if I can somehow include that in the video, in imagery or something, then I can show points along the way, right? And I drew this picture too. You know, you've seen the maps, right? You know, that like in a park or something, you are here, you know, and it points to a specific location. Then I can use that map to then build anticipation. I can show progress, and I can have anticipation for further progress. And I like this idea of potentially embracing side quests, right? You know, the good stories have not only the plot, but they have the subplot, right? So if I have the destination in mind, then it's all about, you know, figuring out what the journey is, right? And I like I like alliteration, so I was trying to come up with terms for this. So I thought, okay, if I'm taking you on a journey, we might start off at confusion, and then my goal would be then to bring you to contemplation, and then after contemplation, you know, clarity. That's kind of the journey's path, right? And then another way of saying it would be indifference to interest to then inspiration. And I like that idea of that being a journey, an adventure. If the journey is confusion to clarity, then I need to focus on educational elements, you know, in some kind of interesting way. And in order to determine what might be interesting to you, I start with what's interesting to me, right? If it's indifference to then ultimately inspiration, then it's more of a, you know, a build up to potentially a call to action of some kind. And then I have to get into, you know, why would you want to follow the path that I'm putting forth? You know, then I can kind of build on the idea of my own story, right? You know, why did I take this path? What if I hadn't taken this path? Or what happened as a result of me not taking this path early enough? The thing about personal stories is no one really cares about your personal story unless they can see themselves in your story. This is going to be different than all the previous days, because what I want to do with this is going to be very little editing today. And then tomorrow, what I'm planning on doing is taking this same stuff, maybe adding a little bit of B-roll to it and tweaking it a bit, maybe changing the order around some, and then coming up with another video that is basically the same topic. Keep seeking his face. God bless.